Hi, this is Trevor and Nicholas from Become the Lion. Today on the show, we have Joel Brown. Joel is a motivational speaker, coach, author, and founder of the #1 motivational website, Addicted to Success. Joel, welcome to Become the Lion.
Thanks for having me, Trevor. Appreciate you, and I love the brand. I love what you guys are up to. So, Godspeed to you guys. You guys are putting out some great content. So, thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you, Joel. And you started Addicted to Success, and it's one of the top motivational websites. But what has your life been like since you've started it and gained the recognition that you have?
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I think that when I first started it, I had an idea in my head, and the idea was to create a hub spot, right? A hub spot for any and everyone to come to that is looking for more out of life. And so Addicted to Success was really this like baby of mine that I just was so consistent with, and I was just focused on solely bringing quality content, or what I considered to be quality content that a lot of people weren't really putting out. I was looking for the nuggets that I wasn't hearing or seeing anywhere else. I was interviewing people and getting them to dig deep to share their advice so that I could bring something different to the market. And I learned how to build a magnetic brand. I mean, the word itself, addicted to success, is like how many people out there could say like they're addicted to it, that they're relentless with their dreams, and they're ready to go, right? They're hungry, right? So it's been a great experience really building the brand. In the last, because we started this like 6 years ago, in the last like 3.5 years, I've really stepped out from behind the brand and been building my own personal brand of I am Joel Brown, which is, my own personal brand. So that in itself, I think, has been more of an extraordinary experience because it's challenged me to stretch myself. Like when you're behind a brand, it's a lot easier than actually being the person that comes out and goes, hey, I'm the founder. And then people start challenging you. They start asking you the harder questions. The world demands more from you because they want to really know who you are. So I would say that my world absolutely opened up when I started stepping out from behind the brand Addicted to Success as Joel Brown, and started putting myself in front of a camera. Started going to these events and speaking on stages, and filming as often as possible the interviews that I did with other legendary people in the field, and writing my book and sharing my content and sharing the things that so many people are scared to share, that authentic truth. And that in itself is a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong process, and I'm having a hell of a lot of fun with it, man. It's just like when I thought it was getting big, it just gets bigger.
Was there ever a point when you stepped out from behind the brand that you said to yourself, what happens if these people don't like me?
No, not at all, man. I think we do as human beings have this thing where we want to feel validated. We want to feel like what we're saying, it has some form of weight to it. But I think the more that you realize that really, I shared this the other day on my Facebook Live. So there's three things that that a lot of people do when they focus on achieving something or acquiring something in their life. And usually it's one, they're looking for money. Like this is the industry that we're in. They're creating something because they're looking for money, right? The second thing is if they're not looking for money, they're looking for things, right? Certain things that they want. The third thing is the ideas itself. And so what I challenge people to do is to forget the money, forget the things, but like lead with the idea, not just the idea, but how to put that idea into action, how to get momentum behind that idea. Because that's where the real juice lies. That's where, people like Sarah Blakely, she's the youngest female billionaire in the world that started Spanx, and, she's absolutely crushing it. It's like she was obsessed with that idea. She was addicted to success around that idea, right? She was ready to become the lion or lioness that she needed to become to really just get that out there and really birth that idea and turn that dream into reality, right? Somebody like Elon Musk. Elon didn't just build PayPal because he wanted to make a ton of money. He wanted to change the game. He wanted to change the way that we send and receive money online. And then he went out and he put out Solar City for the solar panels, and Tesla Motors. He was challenging the whole solar powered car industry and electric car industry, and he went out and started launching rockets to the moon independently. Into space, independently, and he's ready to go to Mars. I mean, it's just insane, right? So really, I challenge anyone and everyone to really look at like what's the driver behind what you're doing. You know, and when I started Addicted to Success, yes, my motivation was money because I wanted that freedom in my life to leave my 9 to 5 job. But once I got out of that 9 to 5 job, I felt that classic feeling of freedom. And when I had that classic feeling of freedom, it gave me the space to no longer worry about the sales targets and my boss looking over my shoulder and sitting in traffic, wasting my time. You know, I crunched the numbers. It was like 10 hours a week, 40 hours a month, 400 something hours a year. I was wasting my life in traffic. You know, so once I got out of that, I realized like, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to be in a space where I can action on my ideas and give it a go. And I think that that's what life's about, man, is like that the moments of inspiration that come to you, the ideas that you have, it's that moment where you're like, you know what, I'm going to give this a crack. I'm really going to give this a fair shot and going all in on it. And so that's what I want for everybody, man, is to have that feeling of that, having that space and having that freedom and having that courage. And sometimes all it takes is a quick, you know, day of courage or a week of courage to really give that a shot. So yeah, I'd say that everyone and anyone should really be in a space of like, how can you find more inspiration? What do you need to do in your day to get to a place of inspiration? And then really start just taking the little like steps, one step at a time. You know, take a little leap now and then. Take a huge jump if you need to. You know, jump off the face of the earth if you need to make that real big dream happen. But really, you know, give it a shot, man, because that's living. That's life.
So you're working this 9 to 5 job, and then you start Addicted to Success while you're still working there. And Addicted to Success starts to gain some traffic, and you're getting, you know, thousands of visitors per month, but you still can't leave your job if you're not making any money from it or driving any revenue. So how are you able to monetize your brand to get away from your 9 to 5 job?
Yeah, you know, I was first monetizing Addicted to Success about a year in. I started this. I was monetizing through publishing ads. You know, from publishing ads, I then wrote an ebook, which sells for $19.95 and still sells thousands of copies to this day. I created a one-off product where I did it was crazy. I jumped on it was called the Morning Motivation Calls, and I had about 300 something people join that, 320 people from around the world in all different time zones. And I would get up at 6 a.m. every morning in Perth time, Western Australia, and would do these motivation calls, right? And it'd be on like habits and beliefs and charisma and productivity and time management and, you know, facing your fears and following your dreams and, you know, like the typical, you know, motivation advice. But it was my advice, you know, it was my understandings of everything that I've learned from writing, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of articles on Addicted to Success. And so that there was another product in itself. After 64 days back to back of recording those calls, live calls, and then selling it as a product, I mean, that's another way that I was able to monetize. And then I've gone off and I do coaching and speaking. I'm writing a book right now. I've got masterminds and, you know, we've got retreats and workshops on the horizon right now, and, you know, big scale events. There's a lot in works.
And that's great because, what is it? I think it was Warren Buffett said that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. So you're definitely showing that for our audience.
Well, yeah, I think I'm at 7 or 8 right now. Yeah, it works. It's awesome.
And as you're trying to grow the brand, what do you think the most effective form for your marketing was to drive traffic? Did you do like Facebook ads? Did you do social media? Tell us a little bit about that.
You know, I honestly, I drove like 90% of the traffic organically. And we were able to do that because we really got in early on the whole picture quote thing and, you know, the motivation articles, and we rank really well in the search engine because we had the domain authority. You know, we've been around for quite a while now, 6, nearly going on 7 years. And, you know, we focus solely on quality content. So a lot of the traffic that we get is based off search engine, SEO, right? And the second form would be through Twitter. Funny enough, I know a lot of people can bash Twitter nowadays and say it's not really performing. But it does. You know, people that are in Twitter are very loyal in Twitter. I've made it an effort to reach out to people on Twitter and to like thank people when they retweet. And, you know, I retweet other people's content, and I have a few accounts on there, and I think we got around about 1.2 million followers on Twitter. And so Twitter's awesome because it doesn't act like Facebook. It's not very biased to, oh, whatever is like shared the most. It's real time, right? So that's what I love about Twitter. There's no bias. You don't have to worry about algorithms like Facebook and everything else. So I switch it up. We've got a big presence on Twitter. We've got a big presence on Facebook, like nearly 600 something thousand. Instagram, nearly 300,000 on there. So it's all cranking on the social media, and that's really our second highest form of traffic. And then the third highest form would be the years of me jumping on video and saying, hey, it's Joel Brown from addictedtosuccess.com, and, doing the interviews and the podcast as well, and mentioning addictedtosuccess.com, that drives a lot of traffic as well.
Let's say someone's just starting out and building a brand, and they have the option to use Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Which one would you suggest for them to use?
It depends what they're trying to achieve.
Let's say they're trying to grow a blog like yours.
I would say Facebook and Twitter.
Why is that?
If it was because Instagram is hard to get people out of Instagram. You only have one link in the bio. If you got a verified account, you can do swipe ups on the stories, but most people don't have a verified account. Facebook is starting to cut the reach on articles that are shared because they're trying to keep everybody in Facebook. They're competing with Google and YouTube right now for the number one spot, right? So they're trying to keep traffic in Facebook. That's why they're making video popular. They're trying to keep people in there as long as they can. And it wouldn't surprise me if they changed Facebook into a video search engine in the coming months or the coming year, because that's all they really need to do to start competing with YouTube, right? So that's why I would recommend Facebook and Twitter. But Twitter is also, it's funny because Twitter isn't the easiest to build. It needs a lot of attention, and you need a lot of people following you to be able to get the clicks, right? You can get the reach, but do you get the clicks? That's the question, right? So I'd say Facebook and Twitter, and I bounce between the two. Google Plus is awesome for SEO, but there's a lot of like tech, Silicon Valley people that are in there, entrepreneurs, business-minded corporate people in there. Then obviously LinkedIn is similar as well. Less clicks in LinkedIn. I would write articles in LinkedIn to build brand in there.
And as you're building the brand Addicted to Success, do you mind telling our audience some of the challenges that you had to overcome?
I think it's an ongoing challenge for anybody that's in this space. I'd say it's adaptation. The online landscape continues to change, and we are having to constantly adapt to the online environment. You've got to be on the curve. You've got to be on the horizon and see what are the new trending platforms and what are the new moves that you need to pull in the online world to really have that top 5% or top 1% edge when it comes to your marketing. So that is an ongoing challenge for everyone, including myself. And it's part of the game, man. It's like, people cry when Facebook started limiting their organic reach and they're making people pay. It's like, well, create better content, and then you get more likes and more comments. And there's a very simple formula. It's like, put quality content out, be consistent with it. And that's really the key. That's a long game right there.
And that's an excellent point, because I know even for us, when we were doing Instagram changed their algorithms at some point in the summer. So it wasn't like the top photos, like the one that got posted most recently, was the one that the photos like you most liked that they would post. And that's excellent, because people just don't realize like you're kind of at the will of Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, whatever other social media is. You just have to really adapt to them, which I really like.
Yeah, that's the truth.
What do you think holds people back from achieving the success that they desire in their life?
We hold ourselves back. And usually it's because we have a limiting belief in play. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. Failure and mistakes are bad. I'm not loved, right? There's a number of things that we do as human beings that really puts the hurdle in front of us, a very high hurdle. So I would say, You gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself, man. You gotta really like check in and see what is that thing that I adopted somewhere along the line that is telling me that I am smaller than I really am. Right? I think that a lot of people aren't willing to go that extra mile because they're scared of what it would look like without even giving it a shot. Right? How do you know if you haven't even given it a shot? That's why, earlier on in this interview, I said it's about giving it a crack. It's creating new reference points in your mind. It's going back and being able to connect the dots and go, you know what? That was scary as hell, but I gave it a shot. And so many people don't do that, man. They settle. They rest on their laurels. They chill and they say, well, next year or next month or next week or tomorrow, until it's too late. There's no inspiration in that. There's no leadership in that. There's no results in that. There's no achievement in that. There's nothing except the same old thing. But they want new results and it just doesn't happen. So I would really check in and find a way to maneuver past those limiting beliefs. Start stacking empowering beliefs. What do you know for sure about yourself that you are proud of? What have you done in the past that has been such a great experience for you and a growth moment for you that's going to allow you to elevate higher than the challenge that you currently have in front of you? And that's where the real magic lies, is the uncomfortable zone, right? The growth zone, which so many people are scared of. Man, I live in it as often as possible. I'm like stretching, I'm like 1 foot in, 1 foot out for a little bit, and then I just deep dive into it, because like life is just meant to be lived. It's meant to be lived on the edge all day, every day. That's living.
And I want to talk a little bit about limiting beliefs. And have you ever seen like the studies done and the interviews done with children when they're like 5, 6 years old and they ask them like what they want to be? They have all these high aspirations, and then you ask them at 18, they're like, they're not that happy or they don't have those aspirations anymore. You think the limiting beliefs that people have come from friends, family, society, even the school system that we have?
Yes. Yeah. It's the meaning that we gave it, and usually it's an event that's happened in our life. It's when, little Sarah said to you, well, that doesn't look pretty on you. Or, little Timmy goes, my mom and dad are better. Or, my mom says that I got better grades than you. Or, it's your parent that is angry at your father, right? And yells at you instead of, taking it out on that person that's next to him that really was the cause. And you could have been in that moment there looking for validation. And so we give it this meaning. And when we're young, we think the world revolves around us. So we take a lot of things personally. Even if it doesn't look like it, we do, because we're downloading all that information. And so we decide at the end of the day what that particular event means to us. And then fear has a way of latching onto a way to protect us and goes, don't go near that anymore. Don't try and do that because it just means pain for you. Right? And so that's why it's really important to work through that pain and go, well, what are the pleasures I can tie to this too? What's the other side of the coin? Because we live in a world of polarity, light and dark, good and bad, hot and cold, right? And so it's like, what's the other side of the coin? Always be open-minded to what's on the other side of the coin. Doesn't mean you have to necessarily go there, but I think thinking about what is on the other side of the coin definitely is a great start, especially for people that are in that negative loop all the time. Take a walk on the lighter side, right? See what else is there. Get curious about what would it look like if I did do this? What would it look like if that thing that was said to me 6 years ago wasn't really true and I just decided to make it true, right? How can I change this? It starts with questions like that. That's how you overcome limiting beliefs.
If someone wants to create empowering beliefs in their life, do you recommend something like affirmations?
This is such a great question, and I'd say not necessarily. And the reason being is because a lot of people that have those limiting beliefs, what happens is they say, let's say you have a limiting belief around money. I don't have enough, right? It's interesting because when you look, most people have a roof over their head, right? They have some money in the bank account. They have oxygen to breathe, right? most people, not all people. And I feel, my heart goes out to people that are really, truly struggling, because there are people in this world that are in that place. But I would say that, you really got to look at, what do I actually really have? And then find the things that you do have that you can be grateful for. And also focus on your potential of what you can have, and make sense of it in your mind on how you can get there. And you can base affirmations off that, because that makes sense, right? But when you're standing there and you go, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and it's total BS because you've got $10 in your bank account, it sends this signal through your system, and your autonomic nervous system goes like that. It doesn't agree, right? It's incongruent with your truth. And so sometimes that can actually be even more disempowering, because every time you think of a million, you go, you get that tied up feeling where it's BS. And so that limits you even more. So I would just say, really, map it out. I work on casting your vision, setting your goals, all those things that so many people are scared of doing, because they go through school, and school reminds them of homework and doing all this extra work, which it used to be for me. I used to get bullied in school, and I used to hate doing homework and all that other stuff. And so for me, whenever somebody said, write your goals down, I was like, hell no, that's schoolwork. But I do it now. And I get massive results because I do it. Because most of the world, 90% of the world, doesn't write anything down. So write it down. Write the things that you know for sure about yourself that are empowering. Write down the game plan you have in play that's going to allow you to get from where you are to where you need to be. Right? Shorten that curve, get really in there and start mapping it out. And when you come from that place of knowing better, not knowing it all because we don't know everything, but knowing better, then you have more congruency when you're like, I'm a champion, or I'm going to make this is going to happen. I am, I will, I must, right? That's a different story altogether. But the kind of fluffy affirmations that a lot of people do, it's not getting them too far.
And I noticed how you mentioned during the affirmations that, let's say someone's making $50,000 a year, and then they keep repeating to themselves they want to be a millionaire. But then let's take it over to goals, and let's say they're making $50,000, and they write down their goal is to make $1 million. Do you think that might discourage them? Would you say putting down a goal to make $75,000, and then once they make $75,000, they put a goal down to make $100,000? So it's like leaping stones.
For sure, it's always good to chunk it down. You want to be realistic in one sense, but you also want to have that vision too. And usually this is a thing that people don't understand, is that if their value isn't money, you look at somebody like Grant Cardone, right? Grant Cardone is like, money, where's my money? You know how he is. He's all about the money, right? It's one of his top values in life. For sure, it drives him, motivates him. If he writes down, I'm going to make $10 million in 2 years, he'll get that. He's so driven by it, and he'll make it happen. Now, if you know that it may not be in your top values, in the top 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 values that you have in your life, maybe fitness is one of your top values, maybe health, maybe family, love, maybe contribution, whatever it is. If you know that money itself isn't in the top values, and you're writing down, I want $10 million in 2 years, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because you're not making that your focus. It's not what you value most. You're only wanting that for some other reason, because you saw a celebrity has it, or you saw an entrepreneur that you look up to has it. And we can be inspired by it, but there's a difference between being fluffy inspired, but actually being so driven that it becomes part of your why. And that's why I always encourage people to cast their 10-year vision. 10-year vision is big. It's huge. It has this audacious goal to it, but it also bite-sized chunks, and it has smaller stepping stones, like you said, that gets you closer to that 10-year vision. So goals are good for short-term achievements. Vision is great and amazing for that long-term success. And
when I was doing some research on you for the interview, I noticed that you met Jordan Belfort, and I'm a big fan of him. And do you mind explaining to our audience a little bit about that experience and how it shaped your life?
Yeah, for sure. I met Jordan about 6 years ago. I was working in a sales company, and the CEO of the company decided to put me and a number of other sales executives into this workshop to learn how to better our sales, better our results. And, I had been reading the Tony Robbins books and Brian Tracy and, Stephen Covey and all of these amazing people. So I was very into self-development. It was one of my top values. I had heard of Jordan, but I hadn't seen a lot of his content. Saw a little bit. And I was sitting right at the front, and he was delivering the whole time. And he came up and questioned us and asked us, what are we good at? What do we love? What solution are we bringing to the world? What are our values? And talked about limiting beliefs and had us all cast our 10-year vision and had us read our visions out. And that was the day that I decided I'd birthed the idea of addictedtosuccess.com. And it was 6.5 years ago, 6.75 years ago, whatever it was. And that was a day that absolutely changed my life, because he showed me that, we aren't our past. We are the lessons and the resources that we've gleaned from our past. And that was the day I decided to write my own permission slip. That's the day that I decided to no longer play small. And we were talking about risk and being courageous. That moment I decided to be courageous and to follow that big audacious vision that I had casted. And I made a commitment, shared it with the room, and I was inspired and moved. And I saw Jordan up the front. I was like, you know what? He's done some pretty crazy things. I've done some things that I felt like, maybe I wasn't like the guy for self-development or personal development to be able to speak at the front. But when I saw him, that changed everything for me, because it's like, he's done some crazy stuff. What I've done is nowhere near as crazy as him. I'm going to speak up the front. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a personal development speaker, and obviously I am. I travel around the world and I get to speak on stages with incredible people like John Assaraf and Jack Canfield and Grant Cardone and, a number of other incredible people too, in movies. I'm in 4 documentary films that are coming out this year, and it's been a wild ride. And it's because I casted that 6-year vision and I committed to it.
Was there ever a point that you ever felt like giving up?
No.
I like that.
And I'll tell you, it's an absolute no, because my vision is so strong that I couldn't see anything else. I was open to my vision like slightly changing and having to readjust to my vision, but I was never scared, and I still am not scared. If somebody told me, Joel, you're no longer going to be a speaker, you're no longer going to be in self-development, I have this thing for you and this is your purpose, and I could actually believe and feel that, I'm okay to do that, because I think that life is really about experiences. It's about testing your human potential, seeing how far can you really stretch with your mind, with your heart. How can you give more? How can you be more? How can you become a person of value? I think Albert Einstein says that too. He's like, true success is like, becoming a person of value, being a valuable person, right? That's a leader. That's somebody that just like selflessly gives because they know that they have so much more. I work on myself all the time, every day, non-stop, because I want to be able to be in a place where I can give financially as much as I want and give my energy and give my time as much as I want, because I know that I'm not going to run out of any drops, because I still have a ton in me. So it's just expanding the container, expanding that capacity that I can hold as a human being.
You started Addicted to Success 6.5 years ago, and let's say we're 9.5 years in. So now, this is 3 years from now. What does have to happen to make you feel more successful than you already do?
That's a great question. I would challenge myself as the person I am now to, even though I believe I'm standing in my truth and really coming from my true heart and my character, to do that even more. Those moments where I feel like, oh, I don't know if I can help that person because, I have this going on and it's not what I normally do. Like the slightly uncomfortable things, do a little bit more of that. Because when I look back and connect the dots and look at the times where I was uncomfortable, that was the times when I experienced the biggest amount of growth in my life.
Joel, I just want to say this interview has been excellent so far. And now we're going to enter the lines round. We're just going to ask you a couple of quick questions before we end the show today.
Awesome.
What would you say to someone who's just starting out and going after their dream?
I would say have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. It's a classic saying and it's so true. Really have a vision, have something mapped out. Get clear on what it is that your heart and your soul is yearning for. Be a man or a woman of faith that what you have before you, what really lights you up is that purpose, is the thing you are supposed to be in right now, and be courageous, because the world needs more courageous people. That's what leadership is, and the world needs people that are ready to stand in their truth and not be shaken.
Do you happen to have 2 or 3 books that you'd recommend for our audience to read?
I would recommend listening to the Addicted to Success podcast. And I would, because I just me myself, I've had so many amazing experiences to learn from incredible people like Deepak Chopra, Gary Vaynerchuk, Tony Robbins, Gabby Bernstein, Simon Sinek, Tim Ferriss. So it depends on how you like to learn. I'm visual and auditory. I'm not massive on reading, even though I'm writing a book right now. But it's important. It's important to mix it up and see what works best for you. I found audio and video works best for me. So I would say, the Addicted to Success podcast. There's a book called Peak by Anders Ericsson. Anders Ericsson is incredible, one of the world leading mindset researchers and coaches, psychology of performance coaches. And, he has so many amazing points in there, and he's been doing it for 30, 40 years. He's like the godfather of it, So I'd say learn from the best, find the best and learn from them. And I would say Tony Robbins' books, but I would say listen to his audios because he's more electric over those audios. Yeah.
And Joel, last question of the day. Where can our audience find you?
Yeah, you can find me under the tag or the username of I am Joel Brown. And also iamjoelbrown.com is my website. I've got all my programs. I've got, my mastermind group and my products on achieving success online, and my book and all sorts of things on there. And you can also see my podcast episodes and my videos that I shoot on the regular, and my top articles. Also Addicted to Success. That's with the number 2, addicted2success.com. And just look me up on Facebook. Look at Addicted to Success TV on YouTube, and you'll see some amazing interviews on there. So, yeah, that's where you can find me.
And Joel, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time today to speak with our audience.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Oh, and also mid-year this year, the new Think and Grow Rich movie is coming out. So I'm in there alongside Grant Cardone. We got Lewis Howes. Who else is in there? Darren Hardy, Barbara Corcoran. There's a lot of incredible people. But Bob Proctor as well is in that. And also the Rise Up movie. It has the Dalai Lama, Jack Canfield, Marie Forleo, Adam Braun, Peter Kelly, Preston Smiles, Alexi Panos. There's a lot of incredible people in there. So make sure you stay tight and check out that. Oh, also there's Age of the Entrepreneur. We have, I think Jessica Elba's in that one with us as well. So there's Jessica Elba, Gary Vaynerchuk, Seth Godin, Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. There's a lot of incredible people in that too. So a lot of movies coming out right now, and a lot of incredible things on the way.